Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Jared Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Colonel Frank Colley. We warmly welcome the family of Private Paul Manning, whose story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome the veterans and their families who are in Canberra to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Operation Overlord and the Battle of Long Can. We're honoured to acknowledge the mates of Private Paul Manning, 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment veterans and current serving members, and their families. And as always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial and students from Our Lady of the Rosary, Waitari, New South Wales. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Paul Manning. Paul Manning was born on the 30th of July 1951 at the Mater Hospital, Newcastle, the second of 3 children to Vincent and Deirdre Manning. Paul spent his early years growing up at Killaburn Bay, Lake Macquarie. He was keen on sports, playing rugby and squash, and enjoying swimming and boxing. Manning attended All Hallows College in Bathurst and then St Stanislaus College. He was a noted rugby player, an enthusiastic member of the school's First 15. He was also a member of the school's Army Cadet Unit. In August 1967, Manning joined the New South Wales Police Academy, training as a police cadet. After a training for a year and wanting something more, he decided to follow his father's footsteps and join the Army. His father, Vincent, had been an original member of the Australian Special Air Service. Paul Manning joined the Australian Regular Army in Sydney on the 4th of September 1968. After basic training at Kapooka, he was sent to the Infantry Training Centre at Singleton and was regarded as a reliable soldier who works well. His next posting was as a rifleman in the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, 3 RAR, then based at Woodside in South Australia. On arrival in April 1969, he was posted to 10 Platoon, D Company. In early September, Manning was promoted to Lance Corporal. Less than a fortnight later, he suffered a knee injury while playing rugby for 3 RAR. After surgery, he spent the rest of the year in rehabilitation. In February 1970, he attended a promotion course, passing 2 of the 3 required subjects. His course report stated, "This soldier has the potential to become a very good NCO and should be encouraged. He has the ability and drive, but at this stage lacks the knowledge." He was recommended to re-attend the failed part of his course and to be a Section 2 IC with guidance and supervision. As the battalion continued to prepare for deployment, at the start of May, D Company was sent to the Jungle Training Centre to attend a battle efficiency course. Further training took place at Puckapunyal, where the men worked cooperatively with tanks. In mid-September, Manning went absent without leave for a day. Combined with a civil offence the previous month, this saw him heavily fined and reduced in rank to private. Despite this blemish on his otherwise clean record, Manning attended courses and in October passed the final subject required for promotion to corporal. On the 15th of February 1971, the main body of 3 RAR sailed from Port Adelaide aboard HMAS Sydney, bound for Vung Tau in South Vietnam. Only days after arriving, the battalion began its shakedown operation outside the wire at Nui Dat. On the 2nd of March, patrols had had minor encounters with the enemy, who were thought to be from D445 Provincial Mobile Battalion. That evening, the 4 rifle companies, supported by tanks and armoured personnel carriers, went into Night Harbour positions. D Company, located a short distance away from the main battalion, was hit almost as soon as it had completed defensive setup. The enemy opened up with automatic rifle and machine gun fire, and what was probably a satchel charge was thrown in to decompan his positions. The explosion killed Manning's platoon commander, 22-year-old Lieutenant John Wheeler, and wounded another man. Shortly afterwards, Manning was shot through the neck and killed. The dead and wounded were evacuated by a US medevac helicopter, which flew in to provide assistance. The contact continued sporadically during the night until the enemy withdrew after 6 a.m. Manning's body was taken to one Australian field hospital at Vung Tau before being returned to Australia. His funeral was held at Our Lady Star of the Sea Church at Miranda, and he was laid to rest at the Warrenora Lawn Cemetery. He was 19 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, along with more than 500 others from the Vietnam War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Paul Manning, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.